After having learned of the distinction between shogeg and nezid in terms of nezek, that when it comes to a person who injures someone else, so regardless of intention, he's going to be obligated to pay nezek damages, but only if he is mazid, if he acts intentionally, is he obligated to pay the dalad devarim, the payments of tsar, ripui, shevet, and boshet. Now the Gemara is going to continue with a series of 4 cases presented by Rabba. This is the Gemara on Chavav Amabet, 6 lines down. And I've titled it Kavanot Shonot. When a person has different intentions, different levels of knowledge of what he's doing, that will impact not only the question of nezek or the other dalad devarim, but other areas of halacha as well. For example, if a person ends up killing someone, is he going to be sent to the Ir Miklat? Or what's the impact in terms of Shabbat, depending on a person's intentions? Or what about when it comes to inflicting a wound upon a person's eved? So just to introduce this sugya before we see it inside, I want to go over a number of basic important information. Each case we're going to see, the Gemara is going to address what the halacha is going to be, both in terms of nezek, damages, dal devarim, again, the other payments for injuring a person, in terms of Shabbos, whether or not that action is considered a chilul Shabbat, whether that person would be obligated to bring a korban or be chayav mitah for chilul Shabbat. In terms of galut, whether that person will be exiled, need to go to the Ir Miklat if he ends up killing a person through that action, and also when it comes to an eved, what the impact will be. So I just want to go through each of the parameters, what is required to be obligated for each of these areas. So when it comes to nezek, we've already learned that shogeg is kemezid, ones is kiratzon. It doesn't really matter what level of knowledge or intention the person has. He's always going to be obligated. When it comes to the dal devarim, however, there it's only when the person is mazid, acting intentionally, or karov the mazid, close to intentional. When it comes to Shabbos, so there the rule is it needs to be a melechet machasheve, which means it needs to be a purposeful act, meaning the person knows what he's doing. He knows he's writing, he knows he's building, he knows he's plowing. When it comes to Shabbat, it's important to know from the outset that in the malacha of Hutza'ah, there are 2 components, and they're each going to be important for us. Number 1 is carrying or throwing from Rishut Yachid, from a private domain to a Rishut Rabim, to a public domain, or reverse. The second is that there is also a prohibition in carrying 4 amot in the Rishut Rabim. Even if you are completely in the Rishut Rabim, if a person picks up an item in the Rishut Rabim, walks with it for 4 amot and puts it down, or stops, that is also a violation of the malacha of Hutza'ah, and he's also going to be chayav for chilul Shabbat. Okay, when it comes to galut, there it's only if the person is shogeg, acts unintentionally. If a person murders somebody, b'meizid, then there's the death penalty. So for galut, it needs to be shogeg. However, and this can be very important, there needs to be a yidiyah b'tchila. There needs to be some prior knowledge. A person needs to know, needs to recognize that there's a person there, or needs to recognize what a person's doing, at least from the beginning, even if the actual act of murder is going to be shogeg. And finally, when it comes to eved, so here there's a very important machloket between Rabba Gamliel and the Chachamim. And the machloket goes as follows. The Torah says in Parsha Mishpatim, in Perek Chaf Aleph, V'chiyakeh ish et ein avdo o et ein amato v'shichatah, if a person smites the eye of his slave or his maidservant and destroys it, so he needs to send him chavshi free. He goes free. The slave goes free. If he knocks out the tooth of his servant, his maidservant, the halacha is the same. The slave goes free. Now the question is, what if the master knocks out the tooth or eye not intentionally, but by accident? For example, let's say the slave says, "Oh, master, could you please clean out the plaque around my teeth?" And when he cleans it out, he ends up knocking out the tooth. Or let's say a similar case where the slave asks the master, could you please put some medication around my eyes? And while applying the medication, he ends up knocking out his eye. So there's no intention. So does the slave go free? So here there's machloket. According to one opinion, sichek ba'adon, the slave is able to, he's in a sense, he's laughing at his master and saying, I tricked you, or I got you to be required to set me free. It doesn't matter whether it was done intentionally or not. As long as he knocks it out, he goes free. The second opinion, however, is that no, ad she'it kaven l'shachata. Okay, in order to be required to send the slave free, there needs to be kavanah, there needs to be intention to destroy the tooth, destroy the eye. This, as we're going to see, is the machloka between Rabba Gamliel and the Chachamim in the Gemara. So there can be 4 cases. The first case is going to be even munacha b'cheko. There's a stone which is sort of like on your lap, or it's by your chest and you don't realize it. Lo ikir b'mei olam, and then you stand up. And let's say you're on the roof and you stand up and it causes damage as the stone falls. Second case is going to be hikir ba ushechacha, where he knew that the stone was there, but then he forgot about it. The third case is going to be where a person is standing in the Rishut HaRabim and nitkaven lizrok shtei amot, right? He has intention to throw it 2 amot, vizarak arba amot. He ends up throwing it 4 amot. He underestimates his power. So he had intention to throw it, but he didn't intend to hit his target. He only intended to throw it 2 amot. And the last case is going to be nitkaven lizrok arba vizarak shmona. He intends to throw it 4 amot, but he ends up throwing it 8 amot. These are going to be the various cases. And after filling out the chart, what I would like you to do is to think of another example. Think like a practical example, a modern day example for each of these cases of Rabba from the Gemara.